Hello and welcome again to Tea Time at the Ritz with Tricia. This room is getting more full by the minute of glamorous, fabulous older women from far and wide, and it's just delightful to welcome so many of you to join us for tea. I'm going to ask you a personal question. What are you wearing right now? Are you wearing something that you could wear to tea at the Ritz? Or because you're not likely to see many people today, have you just dragged on some old thing because that will do? Either way is fine by me, but I was struck by a comment on the blog on Sunday. Somebody left a comment saying that she'd had a really beautiful silk scarf that was almost too good to wear for a long time and actually hadn't worn it. And since she went into self-isolation, she'd got it out and was now wearing it every day. And she realised that actually by wearing it, it was becoming more beautiful, not less. So there's a lesson for all of us, this thing about saving clothes for a day when in the future that might never come. And there was another very poignant comment about her mother's closet. When she died, she had gone to have a look at it and discovered all these clothes that her mother had kept for best and had rarely, if ever, worn. And isn't that what we do a lot of the time? We think of ourselves as, every day we put something on and we don't wear that because, that was quite expensive, or I don't want to spoil that, or another reason that we'll give ourselves. And it's such a shame because if we don't wear these things and get pleasure from them, then I think we're missing a trick, really. And we're also missing a treat. And I'm very keen on treats at the moment. Today, I want to talk to you about weight, which is a very tricky subject to raise with women because it's a very sensitive area for a lot of us, and I'm going to include myself in that. I just read something on Twitter, somebody that I follow, and he said, I'm having some really weird dreams at the moment. My dream last night was that I saw my grandfather, who's actually been dead for 2 years, eating banoffee pie. And I said to him, Grandad, you should be eating something more healthy than that. And he replied to me, I'll eat what I bloody well want. And he said that would have been his typical response in life. So I'm not going to lecture you for the next few minutes. I'm merely going to draw attention to some things that might be happening in relationship to you and weight and eating and what's likely to happen at the end of this with some ideas that I've got, because it's very much the sort of things that I'm trying to follow. Now, you may or may not know that I actually ran a slimming club for 12 years. If any of you were part of that slimming club, it was in Hemel Hempstead in between the years of 1972 to 1986. They were the 12 years that I ran it. And I loved it. It was great fun. A lot of the women that came did lose weight and got themselves into much better shape. Some didn't. But I think I ran that slimming club during that time because I was really always struggling with my weight, and it would yo-yo. It would go up and down. I would yo-yo diet. So I've got a lot of experience of what I call issues with food. So I've had a comment left on the Super Troopers page saying, I'm really worried about my weight during this time. I've already gained 4 pounds. Whilst a conversation on the phone the other day with a friend, she said to me, I'm delighted. I've already lost 4 pounds. So some of you out there are doing one thing and some of you are doing the other. So I thought it might be a good idea just to give some consideration to this and to see if I can offer you some simple and helpful solutions if you're worried or struggling. The first thing to say that I often feel that weight is a hugely emotional issue for a lot of women. And eating is in fact often stimulated by emotional situations. And of course we are currently in strange times. So if you're feeling fearful or worried or angry or upset or wobbly or any of those things, then for some of us, and I'll put myself into that category, one of the ways to assuage those feelings is through food, is through eating something that makes you perhaps feel better for a short period of time. The trouble is that if you do that a lot because the emotions are heightened, then the inevitable consequence of that is that you're going to start to put on a whole load of weight. And maybe you don't want that to happen. So the first thing is to acknowledge the fact that you do connect feeling down, feeling bad with treating yourself to food in some way, shape or form. As I said, I have struggled for years with yo-yo dieting, and I know that a lot of that connection that I had with reaching for the treacle tin. I used to slather treacle onto bread and butter and eat several slices of it, in fact, on the bad days. And on the good days, I would restrict myself to celery and to lettuce leaves and just eat salad. I mean, crazy stuff. And I'm not proud of that. And I'm also delighted to say that it's, that's well in the past. I wouldn't dream of doing that anymore because I've come to terms so much better with myself. I've made peace with myself, and I no longer feel the need to almost punish myself with food, which I think I used to do quite a lot. So that was a very big lesson for me. But I do understand that food and emotions are very closely linked, and I'm just totally acknowledging that. So your attitude to this period of isolation, this period of not being able to go out, is absolutely key. So let me ask a question. Do you see it, A, as a great opportunity to lose weight because you're not going out very much, you're not socializing, you're not eating in restaurants, you're not being tempted by seeing a lot of food in the shops, and you're seeing this as a wonderful time to get a grip of your eating and your food and weight, and that's what you're going to do? Or the exact opposite. This is a great opportunity to say, oh, for goodness sake, it's just a short period of time. Why shouldn't I indulge myself during that time? And what does it matter if I let myself go a little? At the end of it, I can always lose it then. So attitude is key, one or the other, or maybe you're just quite neutral in between, not particularly drawn to eat a lot, not particularly bothered about your weight in any way, shape or form. So my ideas, and it's very important to say that I'm very, very much open to any ideas that you have that you want to add to this, because I think it's by sharing those ideas that we can support each other. In fact, on Super Troopers, if there is a group of women out there who are trying to really watch their weight during this time and would like support from other women doing the same thing, then that's a brilliant opportunity for you. So here are some ideas. So first of all, definitely I would say don't go on a diet. That sounds like a terrible suggestion. But I think as soon as we go on a diet, we start to think of all the things that we're not going to eat rather than the things that we are going to eat. And it just shifts something in our brain and we start to feel deprived. My solution to losing weight now, and I never weigh myself, so I have absolutely no idea what I weigh, and I'll talk about that in a second. But my solution now, if I feel that my waistband is getting a little bit tight, what I do is I cut down on all those things that I know are likely to be loading on the calories. I eat quite a lot of goat's cheese because I don't eat cow's cheese. So goat's cheese, I love, but it's very calorific. So I will eat less of it during that time. But what I do then is I load up on all those things that I know are practically free from the point of view of the amount of weight that they're likely to add. And I also try and make my food a lot more colourful. So, greens, reds, yellows. I just eat loads more vegetables, fruits, salad, and I make sure that my plate is really full of those kind of things. and then have a smaller portion of the things that are likely to add the weight. I'm also quite strict about bread, which I will tend to cut out, potatoes because I have butter on them. And just for a little while, I'll cut back on those things, find that that works quite well for me, and carry on. But I never, ever tell myself that I'm going on a diet, because that triggers something in my brain that's very negative, in fact. The second thing that I've got much better at, and have really pursued this for the last, I would say, 3 or 4 years, is to think of food as nourishment, not as treat, not as something good or bad. Good foods, bad foods. Oh, I've been really bad today. Oh, I've been really good today. None of that stuff. I think of food as nourishment, and nourishment because my body is aging, and my body does need to be nourished properly now I'm older, or I won't have a very good old age. So I'm very conscious of nutrition, of vitamins, of minerals, of balance, of protein versus carbohydrate versus fats, liquid fats, not solid fats, all that kind of thing. I've done a lot of reading about it, and I think I've got pretty good at recognising and understanding what is likely to age me quicker. I might do a video on this at some stage if you'd be interested, because I think it's a fascinating subject. Foods for longevity. My third idea I've already mentioned is rather than using the weighing scales, use a barometer piece of clothing. I'm doing these videos wearing lycra leggings because they're really comfortable, but they're fatal. So I've got a pair of trousers that are quite unforgiving, and I pop those on every now and again if I'm literally living in my lycra leggings, because as long as they do up and they're not getting tight, I know I'm okay. I'm not going to know I'm okay if I keep pulling on these lycra leggings every day for the next 3 months or 4 months or 5 months or however long this lasts. The fourth thing is up your exercise. Why don't you use this opportunity to do more moving rather than less? This is strictly talking to myself here. So moving. Every 10 minutes, get up, dance. Anything and everything. Follow one of those suggested exercise classes that I talked about. I've got my little bike here, and I've been absolutely devotedly going on it every day, I think for the last 15 days. And it tells me that I'm using 488 calories every time I go on that. I hope that's true, but it's certainly helping me to feel better because of the endorphins that I get. The fourth thing is really to if you are in the mood to treat yourself, then make those non-food treats rather than food treats. If you do make them food treats, keep them very limited. Here's my food treat: Bendix bitter mints. They're fatal things, but I allow myself, let me get one out. They smell delicious, but hey, I only allow myself one, but can you see how big they are? One of these a day. And I have actually promised myself that if I eat more than one a day, I can't buy them anymore. So I eat one a day. I eat it after my meal in the evening and before I go to bed. So that's my food treat of the day. And the final thing is possibly, if you can come out of this the same weight that you went into it, or maybe a little bit lighter, then set some kind of goal to treat yourself at the end of it. So say, when we come out of this, we're going to, and that could be, I don't know, go for a slap-up meal, I suppose. But whatever it is, whatever, floats your boat, then choose the thing that would keep you going when you're very, very tempted to stuff your face with something fattening. Anyway, I hope you didn't find that too preachy. Oof, I hate people preaching at me about weight, and helpful, because that was the intention. And as usual, I want to finish on something positive. I think this is a lovely idea. I heard it the other day on the radio. So it's about setting quizzes for your grandchildren. Instead of just having boring phone calls for them, sending them or each day you talk to them, you give them little quizzes that they've got to solve during the day, and then they come back to you with their answers, and you can tell them whether they're right or not. Isn't that brilliant? I love it. So I do hope you enjoyed that. We'll be back again. I will be back again tomorrow. I hope you will be back again tomorrow. And I promised you something to do with cutting my hair. Sorry that wasn't today, but I'm still waiting for some things to come through the post, some special combs that I've ordered, which I think are necessary for the demonstration. So it might be tomorrow. I think at the moment it's more likely to be the day after tomorrow. But anyway, I will look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And thank you for joining me yet again. And I hope you're enjoying your tea. Bye-bye.